Hey guys, I'm Azra, and in this Lord of the Rings Rise to War video I'm going to show you how strong Sunind is when being played in Gundabad because of the T4 units, the Warlords. So this is a Sunind that revolves around a melee build. Let's get into it. So gear wise, I have equipped the gigantic hammer with Rend. I think what else is a good option is Frenzy, because Frenzy can help you stack the stacks faster for Feint. The faster you can have Feint active, the stronger your units get. And look at this, like Feint is this skill to the bottom over here. With Frenzy you can stack this much faster, meaning overall more damage for your units. So this is what I consider the best option for her, gigantic hammer with Frenzy. Then Mithril Coat with tactical maneuvers. If you don't have this, you can also make do with massive breastplate and the special effect called significant protection. It's going to protect your unit with the lowest defense, and Warlords have almost no defense whatsoever, but with this you can at least give them a bit of protection. Anyway, let's continue with the headpiece. You have a few options for your melee Sunind. You could run with a Cask of Pride, being the more universal approach, but that would leave you open against Madness. Isildur and use that against you with his Madness Bomb. If you want to protect yourself against CC, how about the Warhelm? It's giving your Orc units defense your Warlords need it, and also it has some interesting effects. You could go with Discord, that is a viable option. You could run Fortitude of Orcs, that too is very nice. Warcry for being even more bursty with Sunind's units. Sunind has a strong burst phase because of her talents. There is a talent called Inspiration, which scales with focus and increases damage dealt in the first 3 rounds. How about adding another 18% for the first 2 rounds? That is a viable option. And there is also one more special effect which I quite like, being Resolve of Orcs. Each round Orcs units get a certain percentage chance to gain stun immunity. Now this makes sense against Good Side, since Good Side has a lot of stuns, be it like the skill Wizard, a first round stun against 2 units, and Sunind, being a bursty commander, is very susceptible to it. So imagine if you want to burst in the first 2 to 3 rounds, but you can't since you are stun locked. With this, you have at least something to answer against Wizard, or let's say stuns that come in the later rounds. Like Gil-galad has one, every 3 rounds it is being activated, or Gandalf the Grey, I think it was called Blindside, every 3 rounds it's activated against one target. If you're unlucky, it may land against your Warlords. And that's something we can't let happen, since Warlords are our main source of damage. Anyway, Warhelm is a very nice helmet for melee Sunind. So we have 2 helmets, being Warhelm and Cask of Pride so far, but there is one more helmet which I quite like, being the Cask of Submerged Isle, because of Aegis. Aegis is protecting you against 2 of your weaknesses, being Stun and Madness. That is self-explanatory. So if I could give these helmets a ranking for melee Sunind, I would definitely consider the Cask of Submerged Isle with Aegis the number 1 helmet, and then the Warhelm followed by the Cask of Pride. And having a look at her accessories, I think the best in-slot option could be the Drums of Barad-dûr with either Might of Soldiers or Grudge of Gundabad. Each of these effects are good, take whatever you have. And then as a secondary option, Palantir of Orthanc, also very nice because of Tactical Mark. If you don't have Tactical Mark, you can make do with Might of Soldiers, and it has lots of focus when you max strengthen it. The more focus you have, the more burst damage you deal with her skill Inspiration. And then we also have one more accessory, being like an honorable mention, the Signet of the Barrows. It's giving them lots of speed, Orcs and Evil Men, also some HP, and again focus, increasing your burst damage. And what I like is the special effect Blitz. Warlords are very slow. With this you give them a chance to hit first. If you don't have the special effect Blitz, you can still make do with Critical Care until you get one of the aforementioned accessories like Drums of Barad-dûr or the Palantir. But anyway, these are the items I consider best in slot for melee Sunind being played in Gundabad with the Warlords. Let's call her Gunind for the time being. Alright, so Gunind, how do you build Gunind for her melee build to make sense? Well, you don't have to change a lot actually. you can just run the meta build for her, which is like the skills I have right now. You need the Respect 5 title and also the other 2 skills for it. Max it out. Also make sure that you have Heretic Tactics and Inspiration. This is making Sunind so strong. Like this paired with Heretic Tactics and the Evil Man you have for the damage boost for your Orc units. And then, of course, Feint if you have any leftover points. Pair this effect with Frenzy to get max value out of it. But if you don't have a golden weapon with the special effect Frenzy, you can also equip a purple weapon with Pierce. Pierce is giving you additional physical damage that too can trigger 1 stack of Feint. And then you also want to have like 1 point into Whiplash, 1 point into Defensive Stance. These are sources of damage, and whenever your commander deals damage, that is giving you 1 stack of Feint. This is the reason we spend 1 point here. If you have a few more points after maxing out Feint, you can also put 1 point into Great Bash. That too is 1 active skill, which will help you get the stacks for Feint. So this is the build. Now let's check out some battle reports. My first fight is against the Dwalin, and I was surprised how well she did against this team composition, because this is a full melee comp. I didn't expect the Warlords to be this strong even against melee, because what they do is they excel whenever they have to fight melee and ranged units like a hybrid army, because of Shove. But the special effect Unlimited Power ignores 50% of the target's defense, which is making them half naked like the tanky units. And that alone was enough damage to get the job done. So let's check out my gear. In this case, I have like the Mithril Coat with Tactical Maneuvers, Rend, Cask of Pride with Fortitude of Soldiers, Signet of the Barrows with Blitz. And yeah, Dwalin has these items. It is a Frenzy Hammer, one of the scariest Dwalins. He just needs to refine it. Orbeck with Fire Protection, Fulham with Melee Vigor, Iflane with Mend. It is a high respect level Dwalin for sure. This is the damage we have done. Let's check out the snapshot page. We have done almost 300k versus around 180k damage. Warlords have done 215k damage. This is insane. And they aren't even countering any of these units. Next fight is against the Gandalf the Grey player. And he has an army composition that is quite weak against our Warlords. This is where Warlords shine. But let's check out my gear. In this case, I have equipped the Palantir with Tactical Mark, and the Gandalf the Grey player has Gigantic Hammer with Rend, Mithril Coat with Tactical Maneuvers, Hunter's Guide with Aegis, Iflane with Bane of Orcs. Make sure to put 1 point into Blindside because of the stun. The Wizard is already enabling the stun on round 1. And yeah, like this is a very strong Gandalf against us. He even maxed out Champion of the Light. So this Gandalf is no joke, but this is just how strong Sunind is with Warlords. Or pardon me, Gunind. Let's call her like that. Gunind. Gundaband Sunind. We have done around 280k damage versus 130k-ish damage. Warlords have done around 200k damage. In this report we are up against a Galadriel player. Let's quickly go over the items. I am still fighting with the Palantir IC and Tactical Marks, and Galadriel has these items. Noldor Sword with Mind Split, Elven Cloak with Resistance Protection, Grey Wizard's Head with Tranquility. Wow. Fine Smoking Pipe, Critical Care. One of the best Galadriels I have ever seen. Like this guy truly has best in slot gear. He just needs to finish the refinement process. And yeah, this is what we have achieved. A very tanky front line. Let's check out the snapshot page. We have done around 270k damage versus almost 210k damage. Warlords have done 230k damage, and they aren't even getting any benefit out of their special effect Shove. This is insane. In this fight we are up against the Gandalf the White player. Let's quickly go over Sunind, still with the Palantir IC, and he has the melee build. As I see, it is the mounted unit melee build. Cutlass with Smite, Scale Mail with Melee Vigor, Bone Mask with Hysteria, and Mearas Reigns with Fearless Cavalry. There is one thing that immediately got my attention, which is he didn't spend at least 1 point into Magical Barrier. I think it would be enough to have at least 1 point into it, to have the high focus stat work in your favor for the plus defensive stats for your units. And then I'm not quite sure, was Gandalf the White capable of putting 1 point into Blindside for the extra stun? Like, I think those 2 points need to be fulfilled. Magical Barrier 1 point, Blindside 1 point, and then you're good to go. But yeah, still, it's a decent Gandalf. This is the outcome. We have done around 290k damage versus 150k damage. Warlords, in this case, did 230k-ish damage. This is insane considering they aren't fighting hybrid armies. Like, they don't get any benefit from their shove effect. Again, that's just how strong they are. In this fight we are up against the Gil-galad. Let's check out Sunind. Unfortunately, I didn't have the Palantir with Tactical Mark in this case. I have the Signet of the Barrows with Blitz. Now imagine if I had Tactical Mark, I think this could have been a total victory. Let's check out Gil-galad's gear. Elven White Knife, Might of Elves. High Elf Hauberk with Resistance. Hunter's Guide with Discord. Now this is very scary. He can snowball me in the first 2 rounds. Because right now I have nothing that is covering me from this CC. And he has a Silver Harp of Rivendell with Might of Elves. Made sure to put 1 point into Icicle because of the stun. I have nothing to complain about this. Yeah, it's a very strong Gil-galad. In the snapshot page we have done around 240k damage versus almost the same amount of damage. It's insane. Like, if I had Tactical Mark, this could have looked much different. Warlords have done 206k damage, but yeah, still strong. We can live with this outcome. Last fight is against an Isildur player. Let's check out Sunind. I am still equipping the Blitz effect, and let's also see what Isildur has to offer. He has his unique that is quite strong. It is capable of removing buffs, very strong mechanic in the game. And Hauberk with Fire Protection, Hunter's Guide with Discord. This too can wipe me, can snowball me in the first 2 rounds. If lane with Bane of Orcs, that just makes sense. And I can't complain about this, like, this is a good counter against Sunind's ranged build. Morgul Arbalests always get decimated, like, I always lose with my ranged build against Isildurs like this. And this melee build is exactly here to counter cases like these. At least that way, like in the melee build, you don't get decimated, you can still deal some damage. And this is also the reason why I'm showing you this guide. Sometimes there is just too many Dunedains walking around. In that case, when you are playing Gundabad, you can just quickly switch your army. You have army versatility when playing in Gundabad, and that way you can counter your counter. But let's finish the report by going into the snapshot page. 220k damage done from us, and we have received around 280k-ish damage. So this isn't really a win, but at least we didn't lose. And this is what's going to happen when you have Morgul Arbalests. In the detailed view, Warlords have done around 150k-ish damage. That is okay, it is what it is. Isildur is very strong, especially with his Respect 10 item. Alright guys, there you go. This is Melee Sunind, or how we call her from now on, Gunind. I hope you enjoyed it. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed this one, but like always, let me know by leaving a like, consider subscribing, share the video, and I see you guys next time.